Yeah, I mean, I know who's
They do
not
look dominant, man.
I know who's not good. That's the easier question.
Who's not good?
I mean, Cleveland.
Dang.
Like,
Dang.
I mean, what do you do with that? Carolina, New England.
I don't know.
Who takes the blame for it in Cleveland, though?
You.
I mean, do you really think
you got to take the blame?
Yeah, I've got to take it.
Yes.
Someone's like, "Hey, man, why don't you guys win it?" I don't know. I've been there in 15 years, but you can
Brady
put it on me
Quinn
if
is
you
the
want.
reason why y'all not losing.
Right.
I mean, winning.
Just because I picked it to go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's correct. That's
so I'm
correct.
the mush.
Yes.
I'm the mush now.
Yes, you are. Yep.
That's so upsetting.
It's all on you.
I wish I was that important. I had that much power to be able to influence something like that, but unfortunately, I do not.
All right, what's the real reason, though?
Well, the reason is they're just not playing
stink.
well. I mean, here's the thing: is that it feels like a struggle for them to score points. Like they hit a big play and they get called back for a penalty, and there's some questionable calls throughout the league yesterday. As I feel like officiating. It may be worse at the NFL level at the moment. I'm not even sure, like going back and looking at some things. But I would say this. They struggle to score points. It looks so hard for them to score points. And their wide receiver group and the playmakers they have are good, man. So I don't know if you just attribute that to the offense with Stefanski calling plays and, Alex Van Pelt leaving to go to New England, even though they're struggling mightily. So I'm not sure what you attribute it to, but someone's going to take the fall for this. And I don't know who that is. Like, can you really fire? Did Stefanski just win Coach of the Year last year?
Yeah, and then fired his coordinators. Like,
I don't know what fired. I mean, Van Pelt left, but and he had Schwartz last year, so I don't know what you're talking about there.
The on the offensive side, wasn't it his quarterback coach and somebody else? Remember we talked about it.
Van Pelt took the job in New England.
But there was somebody
you
else.
could say how they parted ways, but like I would just look at it this way and say it feels like he would be the person that ultimately would maybe take the blame only because of the contract situation with Watson, unless something off the field ends up showing up.
Which, is always a possibility at this point.
Well, and now it allows them to move on from him based on the restructuring this past offseason.
And it's also, I just go back to the best the offense has looked in the last several games going back to last year was when Flacco was a quarterback. And that was
Flacco struck again yesterday, didn't he?
And that was after Nick Chubb went out with the injury, and so they needed to rely on more of the passing game to get things done, and Flacco ended up winning comeback player of the year. And that was this Browns team, and I don't know, man.
They went a totally different direction, didn't they? And fast. Quick, in a hurry.
The decision to not bring Flacco back, you think that had anything to do with him just maybe being too good? That it was threatening to Deshaun? That it was – because that one still is confusing to me. Like, you had
would y'all put him in? Would y'all put him in right now if he was still there? Right now? This week?
Well, I would say you have a backup that can still play that's there now.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure why you wouldn't contemplate that. But I think the hard part is like, what does that ultimately accomplish? For contractually speaking, are you really going to have him there? And you've paid him all this money, and the only way out is something off the field that would negate what they owe him in guarantees. So you're kind of stuck there for the most part, unless this other lawsuit comes to fruition where there's something more there, and he's punished from that. So if that's the case, like what good does that accomplish?
Yeah, they feel like they're really up against it.
Jonas, do this. Look at the roster. Look at the backups. You tell me if you feel like Joe Flacco would have made more sense there.
Okay.
Can you do that?
As far as the Browns go at quarterback, or like, what are you getting at? What do you mean?
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Is your question? Okay, so for example,
Jameis Winston.
So Jameis Winston,
yeah,
Deshaun Watson, Dorian Thompson-Robinson.
Yeah.
Did you feel like he fit there?
That's a great point. Now that I'm looking at it, I do notice
that they're all the same color. They're all black.
Oh, gee. Well,
no, I was going to say they're the same type player. Like, I mean, Dorian Thompson-Robinson's athletic.
I thought y'all were going down
James.
that road. Just by the way Jonas was playing, fiddling with it as we got to the punchline of it. I just figured, was that what y'all were?
No, we're breaking down style of play, not style.
So what you're saying is they play
kind of a similar, brand.
Damn.
You know,
I was really going to go there.
I'm not.
All right.
I'm not sure what you were getting at.
I don't know.
One of these things is not like the other.
Yeah. Hey. Would that quarterback room have been awkward, you think? Or
you think so? I don't know, man. Flacco got stripes, man. I don't know that mattered. But his style of play is not the same as the other guys in the room during
I mean, you're changing the offense a little bit too with some of what you're doing.
I mean, in fairness to Massage, you know,
he ain't doing much of anything.
He's not doing much of anything.
I mean, he's not doing much of anything.
You know, the O-line's banged up. You know, I think their center got hurt yesterday. Tried to
come
back in and then left.
Here we go. Out. Nick Harris came in.
I'm just saying, like, that is a real thing. Like,
here we go.
You know, he's just dealing with some injuries, but I still don't know that.
That's every week. Y'all say that every week.
I mean, there's both starting tackles are out, and their center went out. Like, you got 2 of 5 starting offensive linemen, and the right guard Zach Zenner is a rookie. It's it's not a great situation
because the Eagles they lost too, and they probably would have won that game if they had both their receivers.
They got their butts kicked. Yeah, that was crazy.
Well, yeah. But I think they're a much better team. If
Njoku's on IR, it's like they got some guys on it. Their roster's bang up, but you still have Amari Cooper and Jerry Jeudy and Elijah Moore. I mean, Cedric Tillman's their 4. I mean, he's fine too. You know, the backfield's fine. It's surprising that they've struggled the way they have, and more so than that, I would say it's got to be frustrating, LaVar, when you're holding teams to like the teens. Outside of Dallas week 1, defensively they've been pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't think that's going to break at some point on those guys on that side of the ball where they start? I mean, I've been on enough teams, and you know, you hear it when guys get frustrated and they start chirping back and forth.
Oh yeah,
that happens. I feel like this team might be venturing there.
I was going to ask you that as well too. Like,
there could be a meltdown in store. 100%.
So how does that play out? Like, is it a team
could
meeting?
happen in New York too?
Is it a so how does that play out? What's the conversation like?
Well, it comes out in different ways. Like listen, I don't know how football politics work nowadays, but I'll just say back when we played, if there were guys who were getting frustrated with the other side not playing well, like let's just say for real examples, say the offense stunk and the defense kept giving them opportunities and they did not make good on the opportunities, you know, little things like you start to see little passive-aggressive things like when the offense is going back onto the field, right? The defense, like, they'll put their hands out to, like, give high fives and stuff like that, and defensive players don't do it. They don't do it back. Every once in a while, you'll get a defensive player. Like, this is just in-game. Like, we could get to the locker room and how that is during the week and stuff like that. But just in-game, you'll see things like you'll see a guy maybe throw his water bottle and grab his helmet and be like, this mother effing offense, like, you know, stuff like that.
So that's like stage 2.
That's I mean, you know, you're still being passive-aggressive about it. But in the locker room, like, it could come up out of anything. Like, a guy could be talking about, from the offensive side of the ball, could be talking about his car. In some way, somehow, a defensive dude will turn how bad they're playing on offense into the conversation about him talking about his car. So basically, there's no conversation that's going to be had that isn't going to lead to the defensive player telling the offensive guys how itty, you know, their play is, how bad the offense is. Like, there's always going to be something. Like, you could talk about, I'm going on a date with my girlfriend. They're going to bring up something about how bad the offense is.
And how would they bring that up? Like,
I don't know. They like, it could be on some, like, man, I hope you better at dating than you are at catching the ball or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, maybe if you focus more on our plays and the scouting report, maybe we win. You know, like
did you give him the when you gave him your credit card, somebody pick it off? Or
yeah, there you go. Like
Stuff
it'd
like
be
that.
something stupid. You're gonna say something snarky. It's got to be something. It's got to be connected to any and everything because ultimately you want to keep reminding them that they suck. Like that's you want to keep reminding. And then last phase is you're fighting. Like dudes will really fight. Like they'll really fight. Like that guys will fight over it because the offensive players, they're not punks. You know what I mean? So they're not going to just like it ain't going to always be like you're going to just get away with like, well, what you saying then? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
well, what time is it then? You know what I mean? Like, what you mean? What time is it? You know what I mean? Like, what
you know
mean?
what time it is?
You know what time it is, bruh.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why you're talking to me sideways like this,
Bruh.
but it just went. It's about to get bad for you up in here. And then next thing you know, guys, lock it up.
Get his ass.
You gotta break them up. Yeah, you gotta break them up. You know, some dudes
By the
jump
way,
in.
Don't be throwing the Jets in there, okay? That's a 2-2 football team that played
You saw that?
in a
You saw me throw the
flipping
shade.
nor'easter there and missed a field
Yeah.
goal at the end to
And
win.
and
I mean,
them
come on.
defensive dudes are sitting there like, that's all the points y'all could give us.
Blame Greg Zerline.
That's all the points y'all
Well,
could give us.
buddy, it was going both ways. I don't
Right.
know how much you saw with those conditions.
All I know is if I'm
There
the
was one
defense,
throw Knicks made. It looked like someone had half opened a Christmas gift and threw it in the air.
I get it.
That's what it looked like.
But they won. They won.
They did.
They
They
won.
did.
All I'm saying is if I'm the Jets,
Socks again.
I'm the Jets, and I put up. I held them to this amount of points. You're supposed to always win.
Yeah, I know. They both held each other to a minimum amount of points.
I get it. But I'm focused on the Jets because they lost.
Oh man.
You feel good about it, don't you?
I mean, I'm not praying for their downfall. I'm just saying you can see it. Like, I know we got to take a break, but we'll talk about it later, man. I know we're probably going to touch on it later, but I had some observations from that game, how I felt about like how he looks like that Aaron Rodgers glare. Like it just that wears thin if you make mistakes for one and not other people make mistakes. But then two, it's like if we're not going to do any better than this, don't be making no faces at me like that, man. Like don't be making faces at the sideline like that. Don't be making faces like it's everybody else but me. Like don't, that could wear thin too. That's why I brought it up. It could wear thin.
You got
Like don't look at me.
You got more on that?
No, that's it. I snuck it in there.